Let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I was exactly where you are right now. I had big goals, a clear vision of what I wanted to achieve, and that burst of motivation that comes from watching one too many self-improvement videos. For a few days, I was unstoppable, ticking off my tasks, feeling productive, thinking I had it all figured out. But then it happened. Slowly, without even realizing it, I started slipping. The distractions crept in, motivation faded, and before I knew it, I was back in my old habits, stuck in the same cycle. Frustrated, I kept asking myself, why can't I just stay consistent? Sound familiar? If you've been there too, you're not alone. This happens to so many people, and there's a reason for it. It's not because you're lazy, undisciplined, or need more willpower. The problem goes deeper than that. Here's the truth. It's not about trying harder or finding a magic solution that'll fix everything overnight. Change is about understanding the patterns that keep pulling you back and knowing exactly how to break free from them. That's what this video is about. No fluff, no empty promises, just real, practical steps to help you break out of this cycle once and for all. I've been through it, and now I'm going to share the exact process that worked for me so you can finally start making the progress you've been chasing for so long. Stick around, because what I'm about to show you will change how you approach your goals, and this time it'll stick. Step 1. Understand your triggers. Let's get real for a moment. You can't change what you're not aware of, right? That's the first step to taking control of your life. The thing is, most of us go through our days without even realizing what's causing us to spiral. You might think that your bad habits just come out of nowhere, but in reality, there's always a trigger behind them. Think about it. Why do you find yourself reaching for your phone every 5 minutes? Or why do you suddenly feel the urge to binge on junk food after a long day? It's not random. It's your brain reacting to specific triggers. Stress, boredom, anxiety, frustration. Whatever it is, there's a pattern. But here's the problem. Most people don't take the time to recognize these triggers. They're stuck in the cycle of reacting instead of understanding. Let me break it down. Every time you feel stressed or bored, your brain craves a quick fix, something that'll give you that hit of dopamine. That's why you mindlessly scroll through social media, or grab that snack, or fall into a cycle of procrastination. Your brain has learned that these things give it a quick reward without much effort, and it pulls you into this loop of instant gratification. But the trick to breaking this cycle is awareness. You have to identify what's setting you off before you can regain control. I'm not just talking about the big moments either. It's the small, everyday situations that catch us off guard, the ones we barely notice but make the biggest impact over time. So here's what you can do. For the next week, keep a journal. Every time you find yourself losing control, whether it's picking up your phone, overreacting to someone, or slipping into a bad habit, write down what happened right before. Were you stressed out? Bored? Angry? Identify the trigger. The more you track these moments, the more you'll see the patterns that have been holding you back. Understanding your triggers is the foundation of self-control. Once you know what's pulling you off track, you can start to make conscious decisions instead of just reacting. And trust me, this small step will completely change the game for you. Step 2. Create a pause. Now that you've identified your triggers, it's time to talk about one of the most powerful tools you can use, the pause. This is that crucial moment before you react or give in to temptation. It may seem small, but that split second can be a game changer. When you're faced with a trigger, stress, boredom, or whatever pulls you in, the impulse to act can be overwhelming. But here's the secret. If you can learn to create a pause, you're already on your way to making better choices. This pause is the most critical moment for change. It's where you can take a step back and decide how to respond instead of just reacting. One effective way to implement this pause is through the 5-second rule. When you feel the urge to act, count backward from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This simple technique gives your brain just enough time to interrupt the habitual reaction. Instead of mindlessly scrolling your phone or reaching for that snack, you create a moment to think, do I really want to do this? From a neuroscience perspective, this pause is powerful. When you interrupt your automatic response, you break those habitual neural pathways that often lead you to unhealthy behaviors. By slowing down, you give your brain a chance to process and choose a different action. So the next time you feel the urge to give in, remember the pause. It's a small but mighty step toward taking control of your life and making choices that align with your goals. Embrace it and watch how it transforms your ability to respond more thoughtfully. Step 3. Limit the temptation. Always remember, self-control isn't just about resisting those urges when they hit. It's also about setting up your space in a way that makes it easier to succeed. Willpower is a finite resource. You might feel strong in the moment, but once you've used it, it can be hard to keep going. Instead of relying solely on willpower, think ahead and remove temptations before they even reach you. This proactive approach makes all the difference. For example, if you find yourself scrolling through social media too much, consider using apps that limit your screen time, or even put your phone away so that you can't reach easily. Set boundaries for how long you can spend on those platforms each day. This way, you're not constantly fighting the urge to check your phone. You've already taken steps to minimize that temptation. The most important thing in this digital era is creating a supportive and inspirational digital environment. Unfollow accounts that don't add value to your life or make you feel less confident. This way, your feed becomes a source of inspiration rather than a trigger for comparison or distraction. If notifications pull you away from your tasks, turn them off. This simple action creates a quieter space in your mind, allowing you to concentrate better on what truly matters. By minimizing these temptations, you reduce the chances of needing to rely on willpower. Instead, you create a supportive environment that aligns with your goals. The less you have to fight against distractions, the more energy you'll have to invest in your personal growth. Step 4. Reframe your mindset. Let's talk about mindset, because this is huge. A lot of people get stuck in this all-or-nothing thinking when it comes to self-control. You either feel like you've got it all together, or you think you've completely blown it. But here's the thing, self-control is not just a switch you flip on or off. It's more like a muscle. You can strengthen it over time. Start by changing how you talk to yourself. Instead of saying, "I can't resist this," which makes you feel powerless, switch it up to, "I choose not to." For example, if you're trying to cut back on social media, but find yourself reaching for your phone, remind yourself, "I choose not to scroll right now." This small change in wording puts you back in the driver's seat. You're making a choice rather than feeling like a victim of your impulses. Now, let's focus on those little wins. Celebrate them. Maybe you resisted scrolling through social media when you were bored, or chose to take a walk instead of binge watching another episode. These small victories add up and help build your self-control. Think of them like little deposits into your self-control bank. And nobody's perfect. We all slip up sometimes. When that happens, don't beat yourself up about it. Acknowledge it, forgive yourself, and move on. Treat it like a learning experience. The key is to get back on track right away. Gaining real control takes time, but you can start with these 4 steps today. Remember, it's not about having more willpower. It's about using smarter strategies to handle life's challenges. When you practice these techniques, you'll notice real changes in how you approach things.